The year is 2016. Celebrity deaths, Pokemon Go, and a tense election cycle run afoul. However, amongst all the news and trends, one stood out as the spookiest. From August through October, the United States and other countries experienced the curse of the killer clowns. Join me as I chronicle this scary phenomenon and attempt to explain why it happened. Oh, and don't forget to click the spooky subscribe button. Alright, let's begin. It's August 5th, 2016. A man in a worn-down clown costume carrying 4 black balloons roams the streets of Green Bay, Wisconsin, scaring the locals and prompting police calls. It turns out this was a marketing ploy for a movie called Gags the Clown, an indie horror film with a 4.6 on IMDb, and this work of art for a poster. However, on August 19th, the story truly begins. People dressed as clowns supposedly attempt to lure children into the woods of Greenville, South Carolina near Fleetwood Manor Apartments. Weeks before, the residents of Fleetwood Manor complained of unsafe living conditions. I doubt these complaints were related to clowns instead of, like, molds, but a man can dream.
Heat, bugs, mold.
At the start of September, the police chief of Greenville, Ken Miller, announces that people dressed as clowns will be charged and arrested, and increased patrolling will be present in areas near clown sightings. Not only does Miller's head look like a thumb, but he would later dismiss a public intoxication charge for a wealthy city donor, and resign shortly after he was caught. Whoops! Later that same day, the scare spreads to a second state after someone dressed as a clown allegedly chases a kid with a knife in Columbus, Ohio. Only in Ohio! On September 4th, reports of people dressed as clowns luring kids into the woods of Winston-Salem, North Carolina spur heightened police presence in the area, and in nearby Greensboro, a man sees someone dressed as a clown and chases them into the woods with a machete. I guess you could say he wasn't clowning around. A few days later, our favorite
fake news, radical left
news outlet, the New York Times, stresses that most of the reports and sightings are unsubstantiated, and all the fear around killer clowns unfairly harms professional clowns such as Sir Toonie Van Dukes, who states,
"I wonder how the reporting on the story would go if instead of clowns, people were dressing up as doctors. Would the news report that doctors were hiding in the woods trying to lure kids with candy?"
The first of many threats against schools from clown personas on social media hits Flomaton, Alabama on September 13th, when a Facebook group called Flomo Clowns states,
"It's going down tonight, bang bang,"
causing half of the town's schools to lock down. So, 2 schools. The first and last death due to clown hysteria happens on September 25th in Philadelphia, when a 16-year-old wearing a clown mask is stabbed to death. In a sensible world, the media craze around clowns stops here, but we don't live in that world. We live in a world with, TikTok, furries, and flat earthers, sure. To kick off the Halloween season, a woman in Reading, Ohio lies about a clown attacking her because, she really said this, she was running late for work and didn't want to lose her job. Only in Ohio! There's many good excuses for being late to work. Your car had trouble starting up, you needed to stop for gas, a pigeon took a shit on your head, yo mama was blocking the way, but a clown attack isn't one of them. 2 days later, Stephen King, the cocaine-fueled author of a book where an evil clown murders children, posts a tweet saying,
"Hey guys, time to cool the clown hysteria. Most of them are good. Cheer up the kiddies. Make people laugh."
I guess you could say that in regard to the clown scare, Stephen King isn't a fan of it. At this point, we're nearing peak clown, and stories covering the trend are flooding both local and national news. Where to go from here? No, seriously, take a guess. I want you to audibly state which one of these answers you think is correct. Did you say the White House? If so, congratulations. Take the C-SPAN footage as your prize.
On
creepy clowns. So I'm wondering if the president's aware of this phenomenon and the White House wants to say anything to discourage these types of pranks.
I don't know that the president has been briefed on this particular situation. This is a situation that local law enforcement authorities take quite seriously, and they should carefully and thoroughly review perceived threats to the safety of the community.
On October 6, professional clowns in Tucson, Arizona organized a Clown Lives Matter protest for October 15th. Did you audibly sigh upon hearing this? Because I did upon reading it. Either way, we never heard much from CLM because a week later, the event was cancelled after the event's organizer received online death threats. The hysteria went global the day after when a person dressed as a clown supposedly follows children towards the Hermitage Academy in Durham, England. Still not the worst English clown of 2016. The next day, down under, a wanker dressed as a clown chases teenage girls for a kilometre in northern Australia. He's arrested, then charged with disorderly behaviour and possession. Over in Redland Bay, a Sheila almost runs over a wanker in a clown costume as they chase her car. Sorry, I don't know what took over me just now. I bet I sounded like a real idiot back there. I promise it won't happen again. On October 9th, 3 fellas in clown costumes chase a woman with a stick in Waterloo, Canada, eh? Other parts of Canada see many benign clown sightings too, eh? Good lord. I'm sorry about that. Damn it! Soon after, the epitome of capitalism in clown form hits his biggest roadblock yet as McDonald's emails its franchises telling them to sideline Ronald McDonald as much as possible. In response, McDonald changes his first name to Old, and rumor has it he now lives on a farm. In a metaphorical murder of the clown craze, Target takes most of their clown masks off shelves in the middle of October. The phenomenon petered out soon after, dying with a whimper, fading from the public eye as quickly as it had arrived. It couldn't even last until Halloween. Pathetic, sad, fake news. If you're anything like me, you're now asking, why was this such a widespread phenomenon? If you didn't ask that, you're a boring, lazy, uninquisitive moron. Sorry, I downed a natty light a few minutes ago. It's amazing what diluted piss water can do to you. Where were we? Oh yeah, why did it all happen? First, let's ground ourselves. How big of a deal were the clowns? In the public's imagination, they were a huge deal. According to polls of Americans conducted in the middle of October, more people were afraid of clowns than they were of terrorism, economic collapse, climate change, and all of these things. The only thing more threatening than clowns was government corruption. That said, killer clowns weren't a real threat. Out of hundreds of sightings and reports, many of which were unsubstantiated or hoaxes, only tens of arrests were made due to the trend. For comparison, the average NFL game from the 2013 through 2017 seasons saw 6.34 arrests. All that considered, what specifically caused the clown panic of 2016? Viewer discretion warning, I'm about to touch on all of these topics. Next video, I'll cover something lighter, like, Mr. Beast rizzing Livy Dunn in Ohio. Reason number 1, fear of clowns. Psychologically, many aspects of clowns freak people out. Their feelings and intentions are hidden by their makeup, their exaggerated features, and the fact that at any time, water could shoot out of their flowers. Culturally, clowns have a bad reputation. Just think about who the most well-known clowns are. Serial killer and pedophile sex offender John Wayne Gacy performed as Pogo the Clown at children's birthday parties, which was part of his strategy for luring in young boys. It, by Stephen King, features Pennywise the Dancing Clown, a supernatural being who murders children. What is with all the child murder?
Jeez Louise, man.
The main antagonist of the Batman franchise is the the Joker, who started off as a laughable, cartoony villain but has grown increasingly demented over the decades. All that considered, it's no surprise that evil clowns were the target for a Halloween season scare. Reason number 2. Mass hysteria. Mass anxiety hysteria is the spread of psychological and/or physical ailments throughout a group of people that is caused by mostly imagined threats. For example, after disgraced Dr. Andrew Wakefield published a study in 1998 suggesting a link between autism and the MMR vaccine, larger numbers of parents saw autism symptoms in their children where there were none. As the news reported on this quote-unquote issue, false autism assessments from parents increased, spurring more news coverage. When it comes to clowns, coverage of the trend caused people to see clowns where there were none, meaning more coverage, meaning yada yada, you get the point. Reason number 3. Attention and excitement. Individuals and the media both love attention, and this phenomenon was no different. While drab analyses of the larger implications of the Syrian civil war won't get you many eyeballs, flashy coverage of creepy clown sightings will, especially if you're a local news outlet with little to cover. Beyond that, it's also about participating in a unique and compelling event that's sweeping society. In fact, clown sightings weren't the only stupid and inexplicably massive trend of 2016.
There's a new trend that I found out recently that is going on, and it's popular among the young people, and it is called bottle flipping.
While I can't speak for everyone, I and many others around me took to water bottle flipping because everyone else was suddenly doing it, and it was fun. Obviously, donning a threatening clown costume and scaring locals takes a lot more effort than flipping a water bottle, but to some extent, the same reasons people took to the latter apply to the former. Reason number 4. Societal paranoia and distrust. Most of the clown stories were either about child endangerment or threats against schools. Invoking fears of pedophiles lurking around any corner is an easy way to rile people up, from stranger danger campaigns to QAnon to the groomer panic. It's telling that the story which incited all of the hysteria was about clowns luring children into the woods. Violence against schools is another exaggerated threat which has become increasingly potent in the years since the Columbine shooting. Leading up to 2016, we saw the Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook shootings, the first and second most deadly school shootings in history, alongside numerous others. Deeper than worry, Americans increasingly trust each other less. This is especially true when it comes to civic and political matters, and, we're talking about a trend from 2016.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have
Pokemon go to the polls.
Surprisingly, there was an academic paper on the clown scare, which is great for me because citing academic papers makes you seem smarter than you are. Anyways, at one point, its author, John Loudon, writes that
what began as anxiety about masked figures lurking at the edge of civilization ended with a much more troubling consideration of the masks we all wear, and a certain morbid fascination that there are those among us who might, under the right circumstances, be compelled to do terrible things.
At the beginning, I thought this video would be a fun romp through a silly, forgotten phenomenon. Boy was I wrong. Enjoy whatever silly thing I edit in for the end of the video. Bye bye, wolf friend pack amigo thingies.
Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot
Yo, mama!